We get in there. Yes, there we are. And I hope everything that's fine. All right. Yes, we are here. Let me just make sure that I am not hearing me myself. I don't know if that will affect. Oh no, let me see this. I just want to make sure that you can listen to yourself, but not me. The live chat is also opened. It is live streamed. Yes! I'm getting ready. So at 1:30, we will be starting this presentation, and I hope it will be enlightening, and all the insights that I'll be sharing will help you deal with challenging situations. And that's the main purpose of this workshop of today. There will be like two polls that I will be posting in the middle of my presentation. I hope I will have a session of questions and answers at the end. And also I'll be sharing with you a survey that where you can evaluate this workshop, and that will help me improve my presentations and make sure that you are walking out of these type of interactions completely satisfied, and at least with the insights that you need for implementing into your daily life the tips and recommendations that we will be sharing in this type of interactions. So it is 5 minutes more, yes. And I have quite a few subscribers. I hope to see them joining soon. Let's see, sometimes there are some people communicating because they haven't received the message. One thing is very important. If you see these live streamed in YouTube, that's great, that's perfect. However, the best way to access to this presentation, to this workshop, is by registering through the link provided in my postings in Facebook, in Alignable, everywhere where you can see this posting, you will see the registration link. Please click the registration link, subscribe, and then you will receive the communication on how to join this workshop today. And it is about the 6 weeks to boost your brain power. Your brain power. When I say that word, is like a big energy is kind of touching my life, because we have so much to learn about how much our brain is responsible for our reactions to circumstances, to events, to things happening in life, even to situations that may trigger symptoms and signs in our physical bodies. And one of the examples that I'll be using more often in this workshop today is, well, referring to the group of that I work mostly with. I am a transformational health coach. Well, in my background, I'm a medical doctor, and I was in that field for over 30 years. But now I decided to shift, and that happened at least 4 years ago, to the health coaching industry. And there is a big reason for that. I believe in our natural capacity to face natural events, and also natural capacity of self-healing when we are facing situations that may lead to conditions that, well, especially chronic conditions, because most of them are dependent on our lifestyle choices. So that was one of the biggest reasons, because I think people, more than learning what they need to do, they need support, they need a system, they need accountability by their side, so that they can really transform their lives and achieve the wellness and performance they need in reality for their lives. So today's topic is about revolutionary, I would say, movement that is going on in the world, and that is building or creating mental fitness. So we have heard about creating physical fitness everywhere, and that's a great thing. Yes, we have to train our bodies. We have to make sure that our bodies are healthy and that our bodies are capable of doing everything that it had been designed for, right? But we have a powerful center, and that is our brain, and we need to build as well that fitness in our is actually the command center for our mind, and that is what we call creating mental fitness. But we will go deeper into those concepts in just 1 minute, and for that I will start already sharing the screen so that we get ready for to share that presentation that I've prepared. Let me see, because I have so yeah, screen sharing. Hopefully I will see you. Presentation, for some reason it's minimize, and there you go. So we are ready to start. I will, well, as you can see in the screen, and I hope you are seeing the big screen, we will be sharing with you this workshop about 6 weeks to boost your brain power. And you will understand why the title says 6 weeks. I am Dr. Angela Gara, for those who don't know me, and I am the founder and owner of Dr. Gala Health Coaching LLC. It is a health coaching company, as the name says, and I am located in Houston, Texas. I am presenting this workshop on a revolutionary movement, as I was mentioning before, that is promoted by Positive Intelligence Limited Liability Company, and in partnership with them, I am bringing this to you. So welcome, and thank you everybody for joining us today. For as I mentioned before, and Dr. Angela Gala, if you're just joining us, that's fine. And I am based in Houston, Texas. So I'm pleased to share this fantastic concept that is changing so many lives around the world. And I'm talking about mental fitness. And that is all about how to grow the 3 core mental muscles to thrive in challenging times. And that is in partnership with Positive Intelligence, and that is which is led by Shirzad Chamine. But before we go any further, let me tell you a little bit about Shirzad. And he is the author of the New York Times best-selling book, Positive Intelligence. And Positive Intelligence, also, you will see it as PQ, is a measure of mental fitness. And it tells us how quickly you recover from negative to positive responses to challenging situations, to challenging circumstances, to challenging events. Dr. Chamine and his team have conducted breakthrough research with 500,000 participants, all coming from 50 different countries. And PQ has shown to be the best predictor of how happy you are and how well you perform relative to your potential. Dr. Shirzad lectures at Stanford on Positive Intelligence, and I was fortunate enough to be part of the founding cohorts of this program. And now I can proudly say that PQ coaching is part of my practice. And my clients are benefiting from this revolutionary advancement I am bringing to all of you today. So when you walk out of this workshop, you will have a full insight on what are saboteurs and how they affect our wellness, performance, and relationships. What are the 3 core muscles we need to train to end the cycles of self-sabotage? and how to grow the 3 core mental muscles to thrive in challenging times. And we are full of challenging times. We can mention thousands of examples of what is for each one of us, what means in our lives to be going through challenging times. My example is mostly related with my population, the population I work with, and those are women in midlife transition into menopause who are having this tough transition full of symptoms and signs, and that sometimes they find themselves lost in this situation and not knowing what to do, and end up looking for a quick fix, sometimes putting themselves into risk by embracing or taking into their body's loss of medications in a long-term treatment that instead of bringing benefits, there will be some temporary benefits, but mostly a lot of complications for the future. So let's get back to the key topic that I want to talk to you about today, and that is mental fitness. And the way we define mental fitness is your capacity to grow those 3 muscles that we were talking before, but they will characterize your capacity to handle the challenges of life, getting with a positive mindset instead of getting upset and stressed. And that happens so often. And I say upset and stressed, but it might be anxious, it might be depressed, it might be many different ways that are negatively affecting our lives. So let me say it again. Mental fitness is your capacity for handling life's great challenges with a positive mindset rather than getting stressed or upset. And to understand what that means, I want to use a physical analogy. I would say a physical fitness analogy. So think about it. If you are average physical fitness, you can climb average hills and you won't get physically stressed. You find them when you walk out and are you walking in the streets, and you just find that there is a climb and you will just walk it, sometimes a little bit hard, but you get to the top and then you go down. Yes, that's normal. And you won't get that much physically stressed. However, if you put a mountain in front of you, or life puts the mountain in front of you, then your physical fitness may not be quite enough for that. And if you try to scale that mountain, then you are going to be out of breath and you are going to be physically stressed and you are not going to be able to handle it. And I believe too many women, the same exact things is happening right now to so many women. It happened to me as well when we faced our transition to menopause, and so most of us here have been suffering with all the situations such as the coronavirus and the pandemic, and I can recall many other, but this is something that really has changed our way of living in the last 2 years. If you, like most people, if you are like most people, you are very likely of the average level of mental fitness, which means you can handle the hills of life normally with some level of stress and discomfort. But in terms of challenges, you can manage the medium level life challenges with a relatively okay level of stress or upset. But for many of us, midlife and menopause transition represents a lot more than those middle level challenges. And using that this analogy, what I want you to begin to see as a possibility is, this thing, when you start to say, this thing is getting me upset and stressed, why is this happening to me? But maybe what we should be doing is looking at this as like that mountain in front of us, and we shouldn't blame it. At least perhaps the mountain is just that, a mountain. And so it is menopause. It's just a natural process. It's menopause. It's not a bad thing necessarily. Maybe I should ask myself how I build up my mental fitness to climb this mountain. That will be the best approach. I wanted to be able to handle the challenges of menopause, as this is my example, in such a way that you will be in positive emotions like curiosity and creativity and clear-headed, laser-focused action, rather than all stressed out and upset as you try to figure out how to do that. You'll be building up your muscles of mental fitness. And you know what happens when you do that? What happens when you get to the other side of this mountain? I promise you, you will get there to the other side of this mountain. As circumstances are temporary, these shall pass you. Yes. But imagine what happens when you can get so mentally fit that you can scale a mountain without stressing out about what happens next for the rest of your life. And life is like to take you back to mid-level hills that you can normally climb, but then you can climb those hills saying, hey, this is a piece of cake. I learned how to climb the mountain. At that point, your stress level is much lower than it ever was. And you realize that you are able to perform better. And that is what I wanted to tell you, that this is the straightforward results of building mental fitness. You're going to be happier and you're going to be able to have more positive relationships because you become mentally fit. In that sense, my invitation to you today is that rather than wanting or waiting for your circumstance, whatever it is, to pass on so you can get back on with your life, I want you to get excited about climbing a mountain and, getting excited about how it can change your life forever with mental fitness muscles that will serve you for the rest of your life. My job today is to show you that it is not just an analogy. We actually have a whole lot of science that makes this very pragmatic, meaning real science and stuff like that. But I just want you to have an image of what's possible here and how we can change our response to what is happening, right? So I would like to share with you a few all these slides that I'm already sharing the screen that shows some of the background and context for the work that Dr. Shirzad and his team did. So back to mental fitness and what we mean by mental fitness. The definition again of mental fitness is that it is your capacity to respond to life challenges with a positive rather than a negative mindset. And the impact is peak performance, peace of mind and wellness, healthy relationships. Let's talk a little bit more about those. So for those of you ladies and gentlemen, it's open to everyone who are struggling with any circumstance in life, including menopause for women, that is affecting your business, your highest level of peak performance, even if you are an athlete, comes from being highly mentally fit. And for those of you who are, executives, CEOs, it very much has to do with peak performance and effectiveness of a leader that is inside of you, a leader that has the full capacity to respond to any circumstance and guide the people that are working with them toward the same achievement. Whatever you try to do, your peak performance comes from your highest mental fitness, peace of mind and wellness, which we all are in search of, and healthy relationships. A lot, less tension and conflict in relationships all come from building up your muscles of mental fitness. Now, the research that leads to this work is a synthesis of 4 breakthrough areas of science in the past 10 years. And neuroscience is a key part of positive psychology as well. The wave of negative behavioral psychology and performance science, all of them together, building a positive intelligence movement that I am bringing to you today in this workshop. Now, the research results I am talking about come from a synthesis, come to synthesize the breakthroughs in these 4 branches of science, and added to that everything that was done in the original positive intelligence research, which included altogether hundreds of CEOs and their executive teams, Stanford students, as I mentioned before, world-class athletes, 500,000 participants from 50 different countries, and of course, many women entrepreneurs and their families. They very often bring them in because they want that transformation to happen to each one of the members of their families. And so a lot of my peers have been involved with this, and Shirzad research is all described in his book, Positive Intelligence, which has been translated into 20 different languages. I'm not saying that to brag, I'm saying this because I know that people from different parts of the world are joining this initiative. And I wanted to know that this work is not just visible in the United States or North American research. It actually resonates with whatever culture that you live in. And the key secret sauce that has made this work possible is my favorite part for how much it contributes to the understanding of what mental fitness is, and this power is what we call factor analysis. And I just want to tell you a quick little thing about what factor analysis is and why it's so powerful. So factor analysis is about discovering the root cause of things. And because you do the root cause analysis, it results in radical simplification of whatever problem you are facing. Let's look at an example, a fascinating example at the root of thousands of colors. There really are only 3 colors. As a painter, you don't need to have a palette of 1,000 colors to be able to paint every landscape, right? All you need is a palette of 3 colors, red, blue, and green. That's the power of doing factor analysis and going to the root level understanding of what's happening. Because when you focus on just 3 portions of whatever is happening, then you'll be solving a lot of other problems because you're addressing the root cause of the situation. And that's what we have done with, professional development, with performance, with wellness, with relationships at the root level of wellness in all these areas. What that I'm referring to, and I would say even I believe that my programs for middle-aged women, for women transitioning into menopause, have been strengthened because I've included this program into every single program that I have, and I think is a key solution for their issues. And so my programs are enriched with this as well. So, sorry, and that's what we bring. What are the core factors involved in every response we are delivering to any circumstance? As a result of our factor analysis, what has been shown is that there really are only 3 core muscles at the roots of the mental fitness that will enable you to handle life, great challenges with a positive mindset without getting stressed and upset. And I'm repeating, yes, the concept of mental fitness. There are only 3 muscles, 3 mental muscles to worry yourself about. And actually nothing to be worried about because the whole point is they are at the root of mental fitness. There are 3 core muscles that you want to pay attention to. One is this saboteur interceptor muscle. The second is the sage muscle. And the third one is the self-command muscle. And I know you have no idea what the heck these three things mean. And it's my job to show you what they are. And also for the rest of this session, so to show you how to grow each of these three core muscles. And at the end, we are going to have a questions and answers session. Hopefully it will be at least 10 minutes. I'm going to initially just present the ideas, and then I will love if you have questions about how this applies to your particular interest. Then I will be responding to them, and hopefully if there will be more need to get deeper into those concepts, I am open to provide you with a complementary session to talk about that. And I can do that individually. I'm going to initially just present these ideas, as I said, and so. She said this work at Stanford, and at some point his Stanford students, after a while, came to lovingly call this his work Jedi mind training. And it was very interesting because he wanted to call this all this effort like using those words, but because of copyright, because that was used in the Star Wars movies, that will not be used. But that's the work is about helping you realize that inside your brain, there is a constant war going on between your inner Jedi and inner dark witches. In the spiritual world as well, I think, and I brought this because I have that experience as well, in the Bible, it let us know that we can, and we can find the analogy for the war between the spirit and the flesh. We have those characteristics inside of our heads, and there is a war going on between those parts of us. In the Bible, there are many examples of that war. You may have heard about this fable of the scorpion and the frog, right? Where the scorpion killed the frog and guided by its nature, even though he would also die. But let's look at the analogy in the Star Wars. I think it's more interesting because that was what I choose because it's better. And the reason all people love the Star Wars is that it tells the story of each of us humans. It tells our inner story on the screen. And that's what's going on inside of our minds right now. Even right now that you are connected here, you are listening to this workshop. There is also this animated movie. I hope you all have watched it. Is Inside Out. Do you remember? A beautiful story of the war between saboteurs and our sage. And we call your inner Jedi your sage. That's why you will see me mentioning this many times. And our factor analysis has shown that these agents of self-sabotage are the ones that cause all your negative emotions, all your negative reactions. And there are only 10 of them, 10 saboteurs. So your effectiveness, you don't sabotage yourself, you don't sabotage your relationships, you don't sabotage your effectiveness in 50 different ways. No, you only sabotage yourself in 10 different ways. And most people have just a few of those. So it will very unlikely that you will have the 10 saboteurs. You will have one for sure, and I will be talking about that in a few minutes, in a few seconds. And additional to that one, maybe a few accomplices, like to these big saboteur. And on the positive front, there are only 5 sage powers. There are not 10 powers you need to worry about. There are only 5 sage powers. So let me talk more about that. That's what factor analysis brings. So the first thing that I wanted to show you is this saboteur interceptor muscle, and I will be talking about that right now, which is one of the 3 core mental muscles that we want to build in you. You remember from when I mentioned what are those 3 muscles, right? But we will be starting with saboteur interceptor. What is it about, and how do we build up your muscle of intercepting? your saboteur's interceptor is facing those saboteurs inside of your head and preventing them from doing all the damage that they do, all the stress they cause, and to kind of show you that the very first of them is the judge. And this judge character is the master saboteur. It's the only saboteur that every human alive has to some extent. And I have the judge. You have the judge. I promise you you have the judge. Your spouse has the judge. Your parents have the judge. Your children, even when they start already building their personality, they have the judge. Everybody has the judge character, and the judge has 3 modalities. And the first modality with you, which you kind of know already, is the one that wakes you up at 3 in the morning. It says, "You idiot, why did you make that stupid mistake yesterday? What's wrong with you? Are you ever going to learn?" And he's talking to you. Did you realize that you are talking to you in those terms? It's the voice that wakes you up and just tell you, "You know what? I don't think you're going to make it tomorrow. I think you are going to fail. Who the heck do you think you are that you think you are going to make that work? It's not going to work." So it's the voice that's constantly berating you from the past imperfections and for future failures, and stressing you out, day and night. So that's the self-judge, the first mode. Did you recognize that? I did. Yes. That self-saboteur, the self-judge is there. And is there in many, many circumstances. I would say in most circumstances. The second mode of the judge is the one that constantly finds what's wrong with other people. Do you know that too? It's easier. So we will talk to ourselves inside. We will tell us everything that I've mentioned before, but we never say that loudly, right? However, when it comes about other people, we will always talk. We will always talk. We will find what is wrong with other people. So it's the voice in you, but you will externalize that voice most of the time. That's constantly sizing people up and saying, "This one is, geez, it's ugly. It's too bad. I mean, this one is too whatever." So that's a need to find what's wrong rather than what is right with other people. And that one, you probably, the third one, are very familiar with that. You are familiar with that second mode, very familiar. We all are. I know the gossip is everywhere. So the third mode of the judge, which is probably something you are not even aware you are doing, because it's automatic. It's an automatic reaction, and you are doing it constantly without knowing about that. The third mode is when the judge is the one that's constantly finding what's wrong with your situations and circumstances. What with the situations and circumstances of your life, and constantly finding something wrong with it. So you cannot be happy, and keeps telling you you can't be happy right now because this is happening to you, why this happened to you, and this is bad and bad and bad, and thing changes, and you can't be happy until this thing changes, until you get this, or until this perimenopause is over. This is the voice in your head. You can't be happy until this, you get to this point, right? So, that right now is upset, that you feel upset that we are in the middle of the menopause transition. Why do we have to go through this? Why do we have to go through these? I prefer to stay menstrual forever. That's when you get to menopause. But the funny thing about that is that you said before, why should I bleed? Why do I have monthly periods? When do I get to menopause? Right? That is a contradiction, but that's happened to so many of us. That third mode of the judge. And when it is, one is going to, is going to end, this is just bad, bad, bad. And you keep on just ruminating on bad things constantly. And it's again causing a lot of stress. And what I want to share with you later is that with the sage intersect, when you get into injecting the sage, you would actually look at the current situation and not wait for it to be over. You will look at this situation and you will recognize it, and you will enjoy the mountain as you are climbing it instead of waiting for it to be over. So you will enjoy the process. That's what sage does. So a lot of the damage to our happiness and a lot of our stress comes from the judge thing. The judge thing saying bad, bad, bad. Okay? So that's our first saboteur. Now, and we call it the master saboteur, the judge, right? Everybody has now the master saboteur. Everybody has a couple of accomplices, as I said before. And usually everybody has a couple of the inner just witches, and they have very different names. What our research shows is that there are only 9 of them additional to the judge, and we call these the accomplices to your judge. So there is a master saboteur, and there are 9 additional saboteurs that will join in, to make at least 2 or 3 of them for each one of us. And there you are. They all have names. You can see them all here. The controller, the hyperachiever, the restless, the stickler, the pleaser, the hypervigilant, avoider, victim, hyper-rational. Yes, these are the saboteurs. And the question is, which one of them do you have? Most people have a few, and their names are, as I mentioned before, all of this: the controller, the hyperachiever, restless, the stickler, pleaser, hypervigilant, the avoider, the victim, and the hyper-rational. And of course, at this point, you might be thinking, oh gosh, these nails it. My parents had the controller. I get it. Now I got to tell them that. Or my husband has the stickler and drives me crazy. I'm going to tell him about that. I don't think I don't encourage you to be focusing on other people's saboteurs right now. What I would love for you to look at is, who are your saboteurs? How do you go negative? How do you cause your own stress? How do you impact your relationships negatively? Because I guarantee you, this is how you self-sabotage. A combination of the judge and a couple of the saboteurs, and how you sabotage your wellness, your happiness, your performance, your effectiveness, and your relationships. I promise you that, because that's what the factor analysis research shows. These are the ones in you that are doing the damage. And I hope you begin to be reflective about that. What are my saboteurs? But how do I do that? And also not feeling bad about it, because we all have it. I have it. My husband has it. My children have it. So it's okay. But it's good to know. So the good news I would love to share with you in a little bit is we have a free online saboteur assessment. And if you would like to have and run that assessment on yourself, I can share that with you. Just post it in the chat, and I will be able to see that in a few when I quit the presentation. We share with you what your strengths of different saboteurs are, so that you begin to focus on your top saboteurs. And here is an example. This particular assessment is from James, and he is an actual vice president of a company. So clearly for him, the controller, the avoider, and the hypervigilant are the 3 top big ways that he was self-sabotaging. We would have him focused on those 3 and forget about all the rest, because when you focus on your top ones, the rest also begin to lose their power. And that is the best thing. The way we help you to become better at your saboteur interceptor muscle is that we give you a description of each of the saboteurs so that you can begin to see the ways the saboteurs lie to you. And the way we help you to become better at your saboteur interceptor, strengthening that muscle, is that we give you that description of each saboteur. As you can see here is an example of the stickler. There is what is at the foundation of a stickler, the concept, the characteristics of this saboteur, and how it is trying to sabotage you. What are the characteristics of people who are on this type of saboteur, who are dominant with this type of saboteur additional to their judge? So with the assessment, it's almost like creating a wanted poster, you know, like wanted. This is the saboteur. Hey, look at this. These are the characteristics. This is how it looks like. Yeah, is then the criminal is already there, has a face, so that you can catch that criminal faster. So we help you figure out, almost create a wanted poster for that saboteur. The more you recognize the lies of your saboteurs, the faster you can intercept them. See, then it shows up in your head. So that's how they build up your saboteur interceptor, that muscle. My suggestion would be, and I will show you at the end how to do this, to go and do the saboteur assessment. Request your saboteur assessment. I will be more than happy to do it. And then by recognizing how you self-sabotage, catch it faster when it shows up, and don't trust the advice that this saboteur is giving you. So a very important part of this work that we do is about helping you see that the saboteurs and sage live in different parts of your brain. So your saboteurs live in a region of the brain that we call your survival brain. The survival brain, or instinctual brain, is that brain that responds automatically, right? And comprises the brainstem, limbic system, and parts of the left hemisphere. The sage lives in a very different part of your brain. The medial prefrontal cortex, empathy circuit, and parts of the right hemisphere. And so there are 2 chapters in Shirzad's book that will describe everything you need to know about these areas in the brain. I don't want you to worry about those details right now, because we will be going to things more in the practical way. What I wanted to think about is to be aware that you don't have just one organ inside of your head. You really have 2 organs. It's called the brain, but it's really 2 different organs wired very differently. And when they get activated, they produce very different emotions that produce very different thoughts and attitudes. And what the saboteurs do is try to motivate you through negative emotions, such as fear, stress, anger, guilt, shame, and insecurity. So I want you to think about, until now in your life, how have you been motivating yourself mostly? And I believe, if you are like most people, it has been through fear, stress, anger, guilt, shame, insecurity, pushing yourself like that. If you have a very likely, that's how you've been motivating yourself. Your saboteurs have been running the show, because the way the sage, your energy value, remember, would motivate you or others is through positive emotions, such as empathy, creativity, curiosity, passion, purpose. This one pulls you to act on improvement through these positive emotions, while saboteurs push you to improve through the negative emotions. They both can force you, yes. They both can have you move forward, but with very different outcomes. So, what we know about saboteurs is that they may generate success, but not happiness. not happiness. How do we know that they are generating success? You know, a lot of CEOs that have been through this program are incredibly successful. Many of them are billionaires. I mean, if you measure that success is, I mean, I'm not saying that success means that they have money. They may be successful in many ways, but this success for these people is founded on those negative emotions that have been pushing them to achieve success. You know, yet when they start working, very few of them are deeply happy. And I'm referring to those billionaires that have been participating in this program. They don't have peace in their hearts. They don't love themselves unconditionally. They are constantly waiting to see if they perform well. They are stressed about how their performance is showing up. So they can be a little happy for a moment when they see the achievement. And if they don't, they will be very unhappy. If they're not happy, they'll be very unhappy. They don't have a steady amount of peace and happiness because they have pushed themselves to that level of achievement through the saboteurs. So I do not deny that your saboteurs can push you to achieve high performance, but you will not enjoy climbing that mountain. You will not be happy along the way. And when you get to the top of the mountain, you very quickly celebrate for 5 minutes, and then you will be right back to being stressed and being worried about the next step or what is going to happen next or the next mountain top. So on the other side of these, what the sage does is generate your highest success and sustained happiness. Your peak performance comes from the positive part of your brain. So if you want to achieve your highest level of achievement, this is the brain that will get it to you, that will get you there. So let me give you a very silly, little simple example. There's like in basketball, and I am using these examples that Shirzad has used also in his presentations. You know, 2 seconds left to the end of the game and you receive the ball. You are playing that basketball and you are a good player, but you get the ball and then you know what? You make it. If you don't make it, it's going to, if you do make it, it's going to win the championship. But if you don't, you're going to lose the championship. What happens, what is happening in your brain if you are pushed by negative emotions? If the saboteur running the show, you'll be stressed out. Oh my God, if you screwed it, they screwed it up. Oh my God, you are going to really look bad. Everybody's going to hate you. Oh my God, you better make it. That level of stress is what makes athletes sharp. That level of stress is what makes athletes lose easy moves that they would easily have done in practice. Why? Because the saboteurs are talking to them. If the sage was in their head, you get the ball, you are enjoying this amazing game, and you know, you were enjoying this amazing moment. Oh my God, what? The joy that I get to have them all see, everybody's waiting. I get to see the basket. So you will be so effectively making that movement that, and you will be enjoying all the moment. Every single step you make is with joy. And there are many examples of players that do that achieve everything in the stage. And you will be much happier along the way. If you want to be happy, you have to motivate yourself through the stage. A very important question that comes up, a very legitimate question. And at this point, if you know, Dr. Shirzad works with athletes at Stanford University, as I mentioned before, with heads of sales, CEOs, and high achievers. And the question that comes up is, are you serious? Are you serious? I mean, negative emotions, aren't they good for me? What are you saying? You know, what would it be about me without the stress that I've been going through all this time to achieve what I've achieved in my life? That's how I motivate myself to stress, and all that my performance says is, who would I be without my negative emotions? Yes, it is a very important question. Our saboteurs are really not good for us. The negative emotions, and to answer this question, I would like to ask you a parallel and related question. So let me ask you, is pain good for you? Is pain good for you? And I'm asking this question not because it's just because I put, just let's see this example. If I put my hand on a hot stove in the kitchen, it's good for me to feel pain? Of course it is. I hope all of you responded, yes, pain is good for me. Otherwise, I'll keep my hand on a hot stove and I will burn my hand to the bone, So yes, please feel pain. It's very good for you when something is going wrong. But I would like you to ask yourself the following incredibly important question. How long would you like to feel the pain on your hand, though before you get a message and you remove your hand? Hopefully you are saying the answer is yes, in a second. It's split second, as quickly as I get the message. I take action. That's exactly the same thing with negative emotions. It is good for you to feel stressed about something that may be dangerous. For example, like, being exposed to coronavirus. If you don't feel any stress about the coronavirus, then you will take no precautions at all whatsoever, and you will really expose yourself to danger. So you should feel stressed. Or if you are in the middle of an important project, I don't know, at your work or whatever you are in a group, and that is not really working, it's going wrong, people are screwing it up and you are screwing up. It's good to feel anger, shame, guilt, disappointment, stress. Absolutely, it is good. Why? Because if you don't feel any of that, you will keep doing exactly what you are doing, and the bad things gets worse. But the question is, for how long would you like to feel stressed, upset, angry, ashamed? You have to go there. And hopefully the answer is just 1 second. The value of negative emotion is so that you wake up for something or to something that needs your attention. But the moment that that information is delivered, then if you stay in negative emotion, your brain is tunnel vision. That region of your brain, that region where the saboteurs live, just spirals of negativity. It goes from stress to anger, to all of your shame, to all of those things, and creates a vortex of negativity for people around you, for yourself and people around you. And it's not the part of the brain that can figure out the best solution. It's part of the brain, is that part of the brain that's just good to figure out what else can go wrong and what else can go wrong, and those can be bad, and it just follows on that. The part of your brain that has access to creativity, to resourcefulness, to call clear-headed action, to figure out what to do, is actually a positive part of your brain. So what we say is that negative emotions are indeed only helpful for 1 second as an alert signal. But there is an alert signal, but staying in the negative emotions hurts your ability to see clearly and respond with empathy, curiosity, with creativity or laser-focused action. This is why the Stanford students call this work Jedi mind training, because thinking about it, when the Jedi all of a sudden wakes up, I know that she is being attacked by 6 different enemies in 6 different directions. She feels stressed out. Oh my God, I'm under attack. It's very helpful to feel that stress. But then because she has very high mental fitness, she immediately shifted herself to cold, clear-headed, laser-focused sage part of her brain. Why? Because she shows that if she stays upset, If she says, oh, why are you attacking me? Talking to them. I talk to you or my friends, the person on the other side is going to kill me. Because that negative emotion, that negative emotionality is going to keep her distracted, entertained. It's going to shift her mental and emotional energy into the wrong thing. It's not useful to keep feeling stressed, angry, upset, any of that. No. So she shows that in order to protect yourself, you have to be an incredible warrior. And that's what the saboteur interceptor do. And then when she gets to that positive mindset is when most fears in action. She's more fierce in action, and she can more clearly see which one is closer to her and protect herself there, and then protect everyone else. So how clear-headed and laser-focused can you get? You're able to do that on their attack, on their major crises and challenges, only if you have high mental fitness. So the Jedi is like my example of a black belt, achieving that black belt mental fitness. I am still there. And so, and I would say you will never be a Jedi. I'm not even close, but I'm working towards it. And you can get a lot better. I'm in green belt, by the way. I hope you like Star Wars, because there are a lot of, there are plenty of metaphors about that movie. If you don't watch it, and I'm sorry, but if you can watch it, that will be great, because you will see everything that I've been explaining here more clearly, probably. So what we say is negative emotions are when you stay in negative emotions more than a second, that's all you need to know, that you are in saboteur's world. When you get into that negative emotion, you feel it for 1 second and you will be able to identify that you are there and stop it. Say no, intercept the emotion and say, no, I don't trust you. You are a saboteur, you're not my friend. And that's how you become better at saboteur interceptor muscle. Because you have discredited that saboteur. The thought is that is causing all the negative response that you been in. That's how we make you more mentally fit, by having your intercept saboteurs better. Having you intercept your saboteurs in a better way. So that's what saboteurs interceptor muscle is about. And then let me go to the second core muscle of mental fitness, and I'm talking about sage. And really quickly, let me tell you who is the sage. The sage is the inner Jedi, as I was telling. And it lives in a region of the brain that's associated with positive emotions, such as peace, calm, clear-headed focus, great activity, and the big picture. You have the opportunity to really see that big picture. It operates from the sage perspective. The sage perspective. It looks the big picture. So the inner Jedi, and you always operate with a very different perspective on your saboteurs. Depending on the saboteur that you have identified, that will be the response that you will be delivering to those. And so who is the sage? Let me go there. This perspective is the sage perspective. Is that every outcome or circumstance can be turned into gift and opportunity. Every outcome or circumstance that you are living in can be turned into gift and opportunity. By the way, of course, your saboteurs will say, this is stupid, this is silly. This is dangerous. This is naive. That's that part of your brain. If you've activated and that hurts your brain, you look at this and say, this is silly stuff. What they are talking about. It's not the way the word works. And then when you activate the region of your brain, when your sage leaves, you know that this really is the rate of all words. And I want to tell you a story. That's my favorite story that tells you kind of the reason some of the sage you know, is what the sage means and how you can interpret it, how you can manifest it. It comes from China. It's a fable again. And I hope some people who are joining us have visited or know anything about that, about China, but it's a little paradoxical, but I want to share with you how, this fable has pretty ancient, and how it helps us deal with, circumstances such as menopause, transition, and other common middle age challenges, and many other challenges that we are facing in life. And I am telling you the story, just tell you the story. So an old farmer lives on his farm with his teenage son. He also has a beautiful stallion that he lovingly cares for. The farmer enters his stallion into the annual country fair competition. So his stallion wins the first prize. And what happens? Well, all the neighbors come and gather to congratulate him on this great win. And he just calmly says, who knows what is good and what is bad? Confounded by his reaction, all the neighbors just go away, and they were like, what's going on? This is crazy. The next week, some thieves who heard about the stallion's increased value steal the horse. When the neighbors come to commiserate with the farmer, they find him again very calm and gathered. And then he says, who knows what is good and what is bad? Wow. Several days later, the same stallion escapes from the thieves, the thieves, and finds his way back to the farm, bringing with him a few wild mares that he had befriended along the way. The neighbors just came excited to congratulate again the old farmer. And again, he says, who knows what is good and what is bad? And a few weeks later, the farmer's son is thrown off one of these new mares, and he breaks his leg, is fractured. And the neighbors again came to commiserate with the old farmer. And again, he says, and you will be repeating with me, who knows what is good and what is bad? And the following week, the Imperial Army marched through the village, conscripting all eligible young men for the war that has just broken out. The old farmer's son is spared due to this because of the fractured leg, so he cannot go to the war. By this time in this story, the neighbors didn't even come to say anything to him because they already knew what the farmer is going to say. And do you remember again? Who knows what is good and what is bad? So there's a profound wisdom in this ancient Chinese story. If there is nothing else you remember from my talk, please remember the stallion story. You know why? Because that will be changing everything in your life. When you begin to bring this perspective to everything, now in this particular story, the only thing different from the way I teach this stuff and the way the story goes in this, that the farmer had just this spiritual leap of faith, right? And it's passive, just waits passively for a bad thing to turn into a good thing. But that's now how we teach it. So, and I believe, so if you have faith, I believe in what's coming next because I already have. I'm expecting that. When we talk about it is more an active choice. So what we talk about, and the reason is just that, about thinking about it, is about half of the people that I coach have some kind of a spiritual practice. And usually what they tell me is, what shows up my spiritual practice actually teaches something similar. It says, trust life, everything happens for a reason. Don't question the wisdom of the universe. And there's a gift in these gifts. Find it, right? So when they see these, they say, okay, the sage perspective, how it allows me to live my faith with my spiritual practice more deeply. So awesome. You know, let's do that. You know, in fact, I'm not going even to refer the way you believe things or how the sage perspective works for you, because a matter of a spiritual leap of faith. I don't want you to, because I don't want you to believe in sage perspective because it's self-fulfilling prophecy. Let me close the door 1 second. I just don't want the sounds to interfere. And I'm sorry for that. I'm back here. So if you believe your saboteur's perspective, it will become, and that's the question. What perspective, which perspective is true? Let's say you are in the middle of a project and something goes wrong. Some mistake happens, and a failure happens. If your saboteur come in and they say bad, is failure, awful, you start getting upset, you start getting stressed, you start getting frustrated. And what happens in your brain begins to spill in the negativity. And brains have mirror neurons, which means negativity is contagious. So before you know it, if you have shifted everybody around you in this project to their own negative outweight your product, everybody else's saboteurs will connect as well. And before you know, there's a contagion of stress and upset with people who are trying to fix the problem. And maybe you can fix the problem at the end of the day, yes, but you waste a ton of mental and emotional energy to figure out how to move forward. You lost a lot of emotional energy. But notice if your sage had come in and say, you know what, I can turn this into a gift, into an opportunity, because everything can be transformed into a gift and opportunity. How would you be feeling when you believe in the sage perspective? And the emotion is curiosity. I wonder, how can I figure out the gift? I wonder what the gifts might be here. You bring empathy to yourself instead of beating yourself up and others. You are activating the part of your brain, that positive part that has access to creativity. So that part of the brain looks at the situation and says, oh, you know what? We can have these and these and these they hadn't thought about before. And that's how we can figure out the gifts. So when you begin to work on that region of your brain, that's a sage perspective. It becomes self-fulfilling. So I wanted you to know that every single day you come across a lot of little things, and big things can go wrong, and chances are it's, when you get to the fork in the road of this saboteur perspective saying bad, and how do you feel, upset and all that, and can turn, or the other road where you can you turn this into a gift and ask yourself, how often do you take the saboteur fork in the road and all the consequences of that, and the negative emotions and everything that it brings to your life. So if you want to build up your inner Jedi, the sage muscle, the most important thing you can do is to assume that the sage perspective with everything. And when you have this question, if you're still waiting for the situation to be over, you can get on with your life and take all that impatience of a stress and upset and being expectant of what's coming next and all of that, and ask yourself a very different question when you take the stage. What are all the gifts that I can create for myself, for my loved ones, for my friends, for my school, for my company, for the world? And trust me, if you start asking that question every hour and every day, you are going to find so many things you'll be able to do. And it will create that vortex again. It will have a spiral effect. The more you do, the more you see that. So with that, go back again and just reiterate the question, the most important question: which perspective? is true? And the answer is whichever you believe becomes true. Now, there is a third muscle that we talk about in mental fitness, is the self-command muscle. And we are 3 minutes over, but anyways, we can take a few minutes more because I have an appointment after. I've shown you how to do the saboteur interceptor and the sage perspective work. And the third that I want to talk about is the self-command. And the thing I want you to know here is I want to look you in the eye, even though we haven't met yet. I want to be bold enough to look at you in the eye and say, you know what? I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you. You are not in command of your own mind. You are not in command of your own mind. If you haven't really built up your self-command muscles, you are not in command of your mind. How do I know you are not in command of your mind? Well, if you learn in command, if you were in command of your mind, would you really command your mind to wake up you and treat in the morning and worry about things you can't do anything about? Would you be worrying about that? Would you be awaking at 3 a.m. in the morning and not even knowing why I'm thinking about this and getting stressed and upset about things that even with things that you cannot do anything about? If you were in command of your mind, would you really be impatient waiting for this prize, to be over so that you can be happier again? I mean, all of your stress and all of your negativity and things you would not choose for yourself. So if you are not choosing it, why is it happening? It's because you are not running the show. You are not running your mind. Your mind is running a show too often through saboteurs, and it's a mess under those dark riders doing so much damage in your life and in the life of your loved one. So what we want to help you do is strengthen that third muscle, is the muscle of self-command. So you can observe yourself in one or the other mode and then command your mind to shift to the other way. And so the way we build up the self-command muscle is through what we call the PQ rep. PQ rep stands for positive intelligence and repetitions. And repetitions is what you do when you are trying to build up your physical fitness, right? When you go and you want to strengthen your biceps, then you do a lot of repetitions with certain amount of weight, right? So we do the same thing with our mind, but the repetitions in this case will be some activities that will train those muscles that we were talking about to allow you to self-command your mind and take, take the leading position in your life. How long does these PQ reps will last? Well, at least 10 seconds. Let me give you an example. Take 2 fingers now and gently rub them against each other. You may do that with your eyes closed. Rub them one another against another with such attention that you can feel the fingertip ridges on both fingers. Gently rub the fingers against each other. And then again, put a lot of attention so that you can feel the fingertip ridges. And that about 10 seconds. If you had your head on the fMRI machine, but we would have noticed is that what we would have noticed is that in those 10 seconds of PQ reps, what you did was a slide, focus on that slighter, quieter portion, region of your brain. That's where all your saboteurs live. And you activated the other brain where your sage lives, where your inner Jedi lives. And you will be concentrating on feeling those ridges in your fingertips. That was just one number, one type of repetitions. But I want to change everything. is an operating system, very simple. An operating system where we incorporate everything you need in order to identify when you are in a saboteur mode and feeling negative emotions and being able to stop. You do some pick your reps to quiet saboteurs and activate the sage. You assume the sage perspective where you start to think about how I can convert anything that's happening right now into gift and opportunities, and generate the gift by using the sage powers like empathy, curiosity, creativity, calm, clear-headed action. So here's the question. Is it really possible to just shift from saboteur to sage response, even in tough challenges? And I answered yes, but the speed and depth of the shift depends on mental muscle strength. And that's the very important thing. Now, it requires 20% insight and 80% mental muscle building. And I want you to really be focused on these numbers because they are key in this conversation. I hope these slides begin to explain to you why so often you did a workshop at the end of it, you said, oh my God, I got it. This changed my life. I got it. Yeah, I got it. And felt so empowered and fearless and all those great stuff. And then 3 months later, you were right back to the old behavior. Why? Because that workshop gave you insight. It didn't necessarily help you building muscles. You didn't build the muscles. And the same thing with this wonderful, awesome talk. We just are almost ending today. You are listening to me right now. Hopefully you're liking it and saying, oh, this is great. And the value you are getting is 20% of the value, because at best, I'm helping you have insight. If you don't build the muscles, you won't really get that 80% of the value. So what you have found is that success, and this trapping this shift to becoming highly mentally fit and building out those 3 muscles require initial intense practice. The initial practice needs to be pretty intense to break through years of old battles, habits that you've built along your life. Okay. And the reason is kind of pretty obvious is that you can defeat a gang of 10 bandits by, those 10 saboteurs by sending one new fighter per day. For 100 days, you will never break through. You could just do a little bit at a time and the band will win in the end. And so what we've learned from with Dr. Shirzad's research is that you actually need to do a minimum of 15 minutes a day for 6 to 8 weeks. And that's how you can break through and build mental pathways in your brain that become the positive breakthrough habits in your mind and break through years of battling the habits of your saboteurs. And because of that, Shirzad and his team has done is actually create a system that allows you becoming mentally fit. Most people on their own can't do that. That's why I'm bringing this to you, and I'm offering the opportunity to get into a conversation with me. And of course, I will be presenting to you what this Positive Intelligence program is. It is a 6-week duration program, and you will watch 1-hour weekly video on weekends. You can choose what would be the best option for you. You will be able to do 15 minutes a day of practice on the application, distributed along the way, along the whole day, so that you can incorporate seconds by second, and anytime you want those repetitions I was talking to you about. So it's pretty intensive. It would require some real muscle building here, some real skin in the game. And also read the 8 chapters of Shirzad's bestseller book. We will give you the PDF for it. You don't have to purchase. We won't have to purchase it. it will be in your program as well. So you'll be able to do the 6-week program, get rolling on your mental fitness, and then an application will be guiding you. You will have full access to that application. And then we are actually going to run this in a couple of weeks so that the logistics are available. And I'm going to show you that in the next slide. I'll be sharing with you also in the chat a link so that you can choose, if you choose to have that conversation with me. I have also a part of giving you the activities through the application. I'll continue to be your mental fitness coach for up to 12 weeks, giving you weekly sessions as well. So here are the logistics, and I'm going to share with you again these. I'm sorry, let me go back and give you the opportunity to copy these. Let's see, because I wanted to. Yeah, so that is it in terms of the slides. I will stop the share and I will go back to you on this chat. Hopefully I will see you and I will get your communications. Do you have any questions? Would you like to share any insights, anything that would interest you about this presentation? And thank you very much for your attention. I don't see any questions. Thank you very much for joining me today. And I hope this brought you a lot of insights. And if you were able to get this 20%, I'm pretty sure that 80% will be easier for you as long as you get into this commitment for yourself. So thank you again for joining me. I have shared this survey as well in the chat for you to be able to join and provide some insight on whether you like it or not. Okay, thank you again, and that's it.